Homeostasis is the body's requirement to maintain a fairly constant internal environment. There are various strategies, mechanisms in place to keep this the same, and you can see there I've broken down the word into the original Greek meaning. So homeo meaning the same, stasis meaning standing still. Some of the conditions which the body likes to keep the same will include water and ion content, and it's primarily the job of the kidney and its production of urine that controls that. There is body temperature, which likes to be kept fairly constant, 37 degrees, and it's the skin that's heavily involved there, amongst other things, which we will look at. And the final one that we'll look at is blood glucose or blood sugar levels, and that's the one I particularly want to focus on with a past paper question today as well. Okay, and we're going to look at the pancreas's role and its production of various hormones there. Each of these conditions are controlled by homeostatic mechanisms, whereby, if I would use the example looking over here now, if I was to look at temperature, we like temperature to be 37 degrees. If that temperature goes up, then the body possesses mechanisms that will return body temperature to normal, and likewise, if the temperature goes too low, there are systems in place to return our temperature back to normal. Certain waste products must also be removed from the body in order for us to remain healthy. These include carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is produced by respiration, which takes place in every living cell, and we excrete that through the lungs. Okay, so I'll put there, excreted via the lungs. Okay, where the kidneys really come into play is with urea. Now, urea is produced by the breakdown of amino acids by the liver, and that must really be removed fairly quickly because it's very toxic, and so it's, as I've said there, it's produced by the liver breaking down amino acids, and we get rid of it through production of urine in the kidneys. With regards to temperature, the set point is 37 degrees, which we've mentioned already, and if we get too hot or too cold, then the body will seek to return our temperature to those values. Okay, if we get too hot, greater than 39 degrees, then we call that hyperthermia, and too cold, below 35, we call that hypothermia. Our responses to hypothermia would include dilation of the blood vessels, so that's called vasodilation, and that results in blood flowing closer to the skin so that heat is more easily lost. And the reverse is true with hypothermia, where the blood vessels constrict, vasoconstriction, and that means blood is diverted away from the surface of the skin to maintain that core body temperature at 37 degrees that we need. In these responses, clearly we also sweat, and as that sweat evaporates, it takes heat energy away from the body, which will cool us down. And if we get really cold, clearly we stop sweating and we can start to shiver if we get extremely cold, and these contractions of the muscles cause respiration and the release of heat, which will actually warm us up. Control of blood sugar levels, which does need to be maintained at between 4 to 7 millimoles per litre, is primarily the job of the pancreas. Okay, and if your sugar levels go too high, then this is detected, and the pancreas will release a hormone called insulin. Likewise, if sugar levels drop too low, then the pancreas can produce a different hormone. This one is called glucagon. Check the spelling with that one. When insulin is released, what this actually does is it allows glucose to move into cells, particularly the liver, for example, and glucose can be converted there into its storage form, which is glycogen. And our muscles and our liver are very good stores of glycogen. Once again, looking at the scenario with low sugar levels, glucagon is released, and what this actually does is the opposite, is it will encourage glycogen to be converted back into glucose. So we get glycogen, the storage form, being turned back into glucose, and they can then be released into the blood to return blood sugar levels back to normal. Now, this is a very brief overview of homeostasis and some of the homeostatic mechanisms that you need to know about for the GCSE. Hopefully though I have touched base with most of the things that you need to know. Thank you very much.